Okay, here's another example of factoring trinomials with a leading coefficient of 1. And for this problem, we have a minus back here. So I'm going to take the approach of looking at the signs first. Now I know when I multiply the first two, it's going to give me the x squared. The last two is going to give me the negative 8. And the negative 2x is the combination of the outer plus the inner. So let's focus on the last two right now. To get a negative 8, these last two right here are going to give me a negative 8. The only way to multiply two numbers and get a negative is if one is positive and one is negative. If they're both positive, I'll get a positive. If they're both negative, I'll get a positive. So the only way to get this negative is if one is positive and one is negative. So in this case, I know I'm going to have a positive and I know I'm going to have a negative. Okay. Now, let's go fill in these four green lines. I know the first two are going to multiply to give me x squared because my leading coefficient here is a 1. So the only way to get an x squared for what we're doing is an x and an x. You could also have 1 times x squared, but all of the ones that you're going to see should be x times x. Now, the last two numbers, the last two need to multiply to give me 8. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make my list of all the possible numbers that multiply to give me 8. I have my helper here. You're going to help me out?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Let me ask you, what numbers multiply to give you 8?
2 and 4.
That's right.
And 8 and 1.
That's right. 2 times 4 and 1 times 8. Now notice I like to put them in order. 1 and 2, right? I start with a 1. That should be an 8. So 1 times 8. Then I try 2. 2 times 4. Then I try 3. Does 3 go into 8? No. Then I try 4. And when my left column meets my right column, I know that I'm done. So here's my possibilities. In those last two green spots, it's either going to be 1 and 8 or 2 and 4. Okay, now I need to look at my middle term now. My middle term is going to tell me if it's 1 and 8 or 2 and 4. Now, because this last sign is a minus, I am subtracting to get the negative 2. Which of these two are going to subtract to give me a 2?
2 and 4 are going to subtract because 2 minus 4 takes away that positive 2 and ends up with a negative 2.
Okay, so what he's saying is it has to be in a 2 and a 4. Now, my middle term has to be a negative 2. The only way to get a negative 2 is if this one is positive and this one is negative. The larger one has to be negative to give me this negative 2. So I have to make sure I put this 2 by the plus, right here, and I have to put this 4 by the minus. Okay, if I did it the other way, if I said plus 4 and minus 2, I would not get a minus right here. All right, and this is it. If you want to check it, here's my two binomials that are factors that would multiply to give me the trinomial. If you want to check it, you can go ahead and...
Foil!
Right, or as my Aunt Mary said, what?
Furl.
Furl. All right.